Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on basic database use for sociology and social work students. I'm Audrey. I'm one of the librarians at Walter State, and I'm here to help you understand what databases are and how to use them. If you've been asked to find information in the databases, or you've been told that you can only use sources from the databases, this video will help you understand not only how to access those sources, but also to use important features in the databases to help you organize and cite the sources you use. So, first off, what is a database? If you've previously used Google or other search engines to find information on a topic, you know the basics of searching. Type in a word and the search engine brings you back tons of results featuring that word. They're organized from most to least popular. That's why you might get a Wikipedia article first and then a New York Times article, maybe something from Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop blog, etc., etc., etc. These resources are the most clicked on result for your search, but they're not necessarily the most reliable. In fact, some of them you may have been told expressly by your professor that you can't use them. Now, don't think Google and other search engines are worthless for your research, though. They're perfectly fine for background research. I'm a librarian, and if someone asked me for quick information about Harry Houdini, Wikipedia would be my first stop. Yep, there's my first result right there. And of course, in here, I'm going to find useful information, birth and death dates, early childhood, photographs, and the all-important list of citations way down here at the bottom. It's a great place for me to find names of his colleagues, better search terms, a time period of his life so I know if I'm looking at a primary or a secondary source, recent writings about him. Of course, all through this citation list, I can go check those things out, and those might be reliable resources, but most of my professors probably have told me I can't use Wikipedia for a number of reasons. It can constantly be edited, and it can be edited by anybody. I can go in and edit myself, or I can view the history and see who else has edited it, right? So I can't use that as one of my resources. If my instructor has told me that I need to find academic, scholarly, or peer-reviewed information, or if they flat out told me I need to use the databases, then this just won't work as a research tactic. I have to use the database. So, what is a database? Unlike a search engine, which trolls the whole internet to find mentions of the topic you chose, a database is much more like finite. A database is a highly organized collection of information. It's like a filing cabinet. The only way somebody gets something into the cabinet is if somebody puts it in there. When something is put in the database, it's labeled with a bunch of pieces of information, like the title and the author and the date of publication, the journal title, subject terms. Those subject terms are what we love the most. They work almost like hashtags on social media. You want to see all the cats added to Instagram today, you search hashtag cats of Instagram. Same with the database. If you want to see all the information about legalizing marijuana, you figure out the appropriate search terms, and the database will bring all of it directly to you. Everything that's been put in the database about that topic. So, how do you access these collections? Well, first, you visit the library website at library.ws.edu. Next, click on the A to Z database link right there. Now, one of the things students find most confusing about the databases is choosing the right one. Each database is a separate collection of information. So searching for information about legalizing marijuana in a culinary database won't do you much good. Up here, where it says subjects, find the discipline in which you're researching. We're going to do sociology or social sciences. We're going to stick slightly more broad because this is for social work students as well. I'm going to choose the social sciences. And right away it weeds out the databases least likely to help me in my search. I only have 14 compared to 90 something. Now for a general research into a topic, it's wise to stick with general databases. First, let's try opposing viewpoints. These are alphabetical. If you're at home at this point, you'll be asked to enter your eLearn username and password. Now, Opposing Viewpoints is a database suited to general social topics that are controversial or frequently discussed in newspapers, magazines, talk shows, radio, etc. It is specifically organized to give you opposite arguments about the same topics so you can get a feel for why something's controversial. My favorite way to use it is to browse the issues. Of course, if I've already chosen my topic, I can type it up here. but browsing the issues will get me a good idea of what's covered in the database. This database breaks popular topics into units, so I'll just choose one for demonstration purposes. Let's go with assisted suicide. So when you click on a topic, you'll get a basic overview right here. Now, this is a basic introduction to the topic. It's not really a source. We don't want to use it as one of our sources in our paper, but get your pen and paper handy. You'll get lots of great terms to use in future searches, as well as a basic definition of important discussions within the topic. You might find out about important people, landmark court decisions. So these are all things that'll help you as you do more and more research. I'm going to head back. Now below that, you can find sources that are broken up by origin. Viewpoints up here, featured viewpoints and viewpoints. Right there will give you those opposite opinions about the topic, but make sure to check the source and understand that these are opinions, not necessarily data-based observations by an academic. When we use opinions in our paper, it is so important that we acknowledge that we understand it's an opinion, and you really should do some research on who wrote it so that you can understand what else they've written about the topic before. Now below those viewpoints, you can find newspaper articles, magazine articles, images, you might find statistics, other websites. Those websites will take you outside the database, so you're no longer looking at a database resource, but it's good to know that they're there. If you click on the source type right here, so this is my box where newspaper articles are, and I'm going to click on news because it turns out in addition to these three, there are another 1,069 newspaper articles about my topic. Then I can see all the sources that are in that topic. I like to reorganize them by newest so that I can see the most recent documents first. It's a personal preference, but I do think it's important to be able to track an argument over time. A discussion of assisted suicide from the 90s might not mean the same thing as it would in 2020. On the right-hand side, you can filter further. Under subjects, you can choose a secondary subject. Think of it as like a second level filter. All the articles here are about assisted suicide, but I can specifically pull out the ones that discuss euthanasia, which is a different term as a tag. So now I've gone from 1,069 articles to 324 that also discuss euthanasia specifically. Now keep in mind what type of source you're using. Newspaper articles will help you understand recent developments and help you track opinions at any given moment. They're written by reporters for public consumption. They'll use language a layperson can understand and discuss attitudes more than they discuss scientific facts. If I'm allowed to use non-academic sources, these and magazines might be good resources. These come from the database, so if your professor has only said they have to be database resources, that checks that box. However, if your professor or instructor has said you have to have either academic journal articles or if they've used the terms scholarly or peer-reviewed, these won't work. You'll want to go up here to the top and choose academic journals. Now remember, we've already sorted as well for euthanasia, so I'm looking at 42 academic journal articles that discuss both assisted suicide and euthanasia. Now, these are written by experts for other experts, and it's already done my relevance thing, so I'm going to reorder it for newest. They'll include case studies, surveys, literature reviews. They're written by university professors or doctors in the case of social sciences sometimes, and they contain the highest level of reliable information. Now, they are sometimes 6 to 12 months outdated because they require research and review by peers within the field. So, for example, I'm making this video in August of 2020. I won't find much information on Kamala Harris's nomination as vice president in these articles since it just happened a few weeks ago. Now, once I've chosen an article, I can use the download tool to save a copy for myself. I can email it to myself as well. I cannot recommend enough that you save a copy of any article you think you might use. Nobody wants to be working on their paper the day before it's due and then be unable to find the articles they kind of remember finding in the database. Additionally, you can grab a citation right here as well. So if I want to go up here to the Cite tool and change it to APA because I'm in the social sciences, I can get an APA style citation for the article. I can also email it to myself with that, which I think is really useful because it will send both the full text and the citation to me when I do that. All right, so that is opposing viewpoints. It's easy to use and it will help you understand the arguments from both sides of a controversial topic. Now, briefly, let's look at another database called Academic Search Premier. This database can also be found in our A to Z database list. It is more of a traditional database. It's not very friendly looking, but if you understand the basic tools databases offer, it is no more difficult to use than opposing viewpoints. First things first, Academic Search Premier is one of many databases by this company, EBSCOhost, and we can search multiple of their databases at once. So I'm going to go to Choose Databases up here. Currently, I'm just searching Academic Search Premier. But I am going to add ERIC, which is an educational database, and maybe some psych databases and social sciences databases as well. Just go through and choose the ones that seem likely to contain information relevant to your search. Alternatively, you can select all and just cast as wide a net. It might be just a little bit slower when you do that. Okay, so in this database, we'll start off right away using our search terms. Let's go ahead and put in assisted suicide. Now, notice I use quotation marks around my search terms. That's because with multi-word terms like assisted suicide, which is 2 words, we need to tell the database to search for the phrase. Otherwise, we'll get everything about assisted suicide, or everything about assisted and everything about suicide, and that will be a lot. Additionally, I'm going to add the search term euthanasia. Now, this one is not 2 words, so I don't need to worry about the quotation marks issue in here. But I do need to use this little button right here that says "and" right now. This is called a Boolean operator, and it allows me to filter my results. I'm leaving it set to "and" so that all my results feature both terms. However, I could also change it to "or," which would cast the widest net possible and bring back anything that mentions either term. This is useful when you're not sure what to call something, or if something's known by 2 names. I could also change it to "not" and then only get articles that don't mention euthanasia. Think of it like creating a Venn diagram of your results and filtering them appropriately. Okay. Keep it on "and." I've done my search. And now all that's left is to narrow them down more. I can change the dates of the publication here. So let's just make it the last 5 years or so. That's a really recent time range. But I go from 3,300 something to 609. So that's useful. I can also narrow things out that are not scholarly or academic or peer-reviewed by clicking on this box. So now I'm no longer getting newspaper articles, magazine articles, things like that. It cut my results in half again. Now all my results are recent and scholarly or academic or peer-reviewed, whatever you're calling it. I know they're allowed in my list of sources because I've weeded everything else out. Okay, I'm going to choose this one. Once I've chosen the title, I can do all the things I did before. I can download over here. I can email it to myself right here. If I scroll around in here once it's loaded, I'll find a download option right up here. It's not doing it because it's not downloading very quickly. But I can still do all the things I did before. I can cite it right there and get my APA citation. I can also email it to myself right there. Now, if at the end of this tutorial you have questions about doing research for your specific assignment, please don't hesitate to contact me. I can be found on the library website. Email me at this address, or you can find me in your class list. Good luck and have a great semester.